Did Hot Toys finally give us a General Grievous that will make a fine addition to all of our collections? That's what we need to find out today, because on paper, this should be the ultimate 1/6 scale General Grievous. There are die-cast components, swap out and movable pieces, and enough accessories to make some certain Jedi feel very uncivilized. As you all know, all good unboxings start with the box. And this box is tall and decently heavy because of those die-cast components. But to almost quote Anakin meeting Grievous for the first time, it's lighter than I expected. This is the basic black Star Wars box, but there is a gorgeous image of Grievous on the front wearing his cape and wielding all of his quote-unquote collected lightsabers. There's a Sideshow exclusive sticker on the front as well, because I was fortunate enough to get a waitlist conversion for the special edition, but we'll talk about if the special edition is even worth it coming up. The wraparound banner is done in a beautiful orange color, noting that this is MMS 760D67. Then there's another image of Grievous that wraps around to the right side of the box, and behind him we can see Anakin and Obi-Wan's starfighters. Moving up the right side, we get our first glance at the protective foam that houses Grievous. Hot Toys often uses this foam to house their diecast figures like Iron Man and such, but this one even has Star Wars pressed into it. Quickly looking at the back of the box, there is a ton of extra info. Then, on the left side of the box, we see the rest of the wraparound banner with the final image of Grievous. Just be careful handling this side because its electro staff is already warping on mine, so if it gets caught, it might rip off. On the top and bottom of the box, it just says Star Wars. To get the box open, we do have to slide the wraparound banner off very carefully. Once it's gone though, we can slide out the foam housing. Very slowly though, I might add, because it's a pretty big box and kind of hard to maneuver on camera. Once it's out though, we can see that General Grievous is stamped into the foam on the front. And now let's get into that box. But real quick, if you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and hit the bell to be notified when new content goes live. Now let's get into it. Lifting up that top foam cover, we can now see the General himself, and he is huge. He is so tall in there. I kind of need to get him out immediately. Right out of the box, that less battle damage mask is on him, and it's looking good, but yeah, we'll talk about that mask coming up. The diecast components are cold to the touch, and as for my initial impressions of this figure, he feels pretty solid, and none of the joints are really slipping around while moving them and stuff, which is a very good sign for posing and the longevity of these joints in your collection. But I will say he's not as heavy as I thought he would be, which also may be a good sign for posing. But we'll take a look at the figure again and do some posing coming up in a bit. Let's look at that top tray of accessories first. Since I got the special edition, there's a die-cast gold coin in the box, which shows an embossed General Grievous with text stating just that, and the Separatist Alliance on the front. And then on the back, it just says Star Wars. For me, and probably many collectors out there, this isn't a crucial accessory, so don't worry if you miss out on the special edition. The first set of included swap-out hands are permanently connected and articulatable. I say permanently connected because the articulatable hands already on the figure out of the box, they can separate so you can actually give General Grievous that big forearm appearance. And then of course these ones, they just stay together, you can't separate them. It is a nice inclusion as well because over time, the separable hands may not stay together as well if the friction pegs start to give out or anything. But of course I literally just got this figure, so we most likely won't see that already, or at least I really hope not. These hands are incredibly detailed though, with that speckling on the white armor, and of course that finger articulation is a great inclusion. But I'm so glad that they didn't make us use those articulatable fingers to hold the sabers, because they actually give us 4 dedicated saber holding hands. They're technically 4, but you can combine them into one. Attempting to use the articulatable fingers to hold things like the nano blades on my battle damage endgame Iron Man, for example, was a complete nightmare. Then as I mentioned, 2 of these hands can combine into one larger lightsaber holding hand that can be used if you don't want to separate the arms but have them holding the lightsabers. Getting that swap out mask out here, I'm a bit blown away by all that detail, but of course I'm also very disappointed. The mask out of the box already had some battle damage on it, just some scratching over that right eye, and then this one basically has that same scratching but then adds a big scorch mark and additional scratching over the left eye. So for me, this is a negative, as I would have really wanted to see a cleaner mask to put on Grievous to better represent him from the Clone Wars and Episode 3, because honestly, I don't really remember him getting this type of battle damage on his mask in the movie, or even Clone Wars for that matter. But of course, if you remember where this scorch type battle damage came from, definitely let me know down in the comments, because I don't even think it's from when literal flames came out of his eyeballs. So unfortunately, in that regard, neither of these masks are technically accurate. But like I just said, if they wanted to give us some real battle damage, just give us some flame effects or something we could just peg into those eyes, because that would look pretty cool. But also, I don't know if anyone would actually display him that way. Most of the masks get the rolling eyeball feature, and those eyes are very detailed with that kind of yellow snake-like look to them. It's just super creepy in such a great way. Then if you do want to add some additional accurate Obi-Wan created battle damage to the Grievous, you do get some swap out lower arms to where the hands are actually missing and freshly cut off. This battle damage is bright orange to represent the recent metal hand removal, courtesy of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then the last two swap out arm pieces can be used to cap off the lower arms in case you want them missing altogether, and then reattach the upper arms, which he kind of does near the end of the fight in episode 3. Let's look at the bottom tray of accessories now. The instruction booklet is here, and I will be reading it all because I don't want to risk breaking my General Grievous. Yes, he's strong and sturdy with die cast, but there's still a lot of plastic on him that I don't want to accidentally press and snap off because I don't want to have to send in to get a replacement. His wired cape is then well protected within a cardboard insert, and that light gray color looks so good. Then opening it up, I'm just blown away by the amount of detail on the red interior. It's beautiful. That diamond pattern just looks it just looks amazing. There are 6 lightsaber pockets on the interior as well, but this figure only comes with 4 hilts, so it would have been cool, maybe even as a special edition bonus to make it a little bit more worth it, to get Anakin and Obi-Wan's hilts, because General Grievous was in possession of them at the beginning of episode 3. Of course though, if you do have some extra hilts you're not using, you could just load up the missing pockets. When you open up the outside of the cape, you can see General Grievous's symbol right there. Then the outer edges and the spines of the cape are wired, which is great for posing, but I will say since the red interior and the outside isn't connected, it doesn't really let the outside of the cape pose as much as the interior. The electro staff is stunning. Literally, it's an electro staff. That amazing looking sculpted detail on each end of the staff is covered with a transparent plastic so you can still see it. And then of course that chrome paint along the whole length of the staff is weathered with some black speckling here and there and looks really good. There are also 2 purple semi-transparent lightning effects for each end of the staff as well. These look good to show that the staff is on, but right now I'm kind of thinking that the staff may end up back in the box. But of course I'll use it during the posing to make my final decision. Let's look at this base now. It's large, it's sturdy, and I kind of love it. The nameplate is a shiny chrome and notes Star Wars General Grievous. Then the top of the base is textured and shows the flooring where Obi-Wan and Grievous actually first locked sabers in episode 3. On each side of the base are some orange scorch mark effects just showing where Grievous sliced up the floor when he was spinning his sabers while approaching Obi-Wan, and that looks pretty cool, but for certain poses it might not make a ton of sense. Hot Toys even gives a specialty crotch grabber for this figure. It pegs in with a circular friction peg and then kind of snaps to the back of the base to support it. Since Grievous may be a little top heavy in certain poses, it's nice that they actually brace the back of him so he won't just continue to fall over even with the crouch grabber used. In my display, I usually use the bases because I really like how they look with the figures, but of course we'll test to see how Grievous can stand on his own. The next accessory is pretty uncivilized as it was actually the blaster Obi-Wan used to end Grievous. It's sculpted and painted very well with of course just a little bit of weathering in there. Next up are the sabers, and you get 4 regular hilts and then 4 light up hilts. I usually put the light up sabers back in the box, but we'll of course test it out. If anyone knows which Jedi Grievous actually collect these from, definitely let me know in the comments because I'm pretty curious. The sculpt work and paint job on each saber is pretty good, but each one does have a seam that goes down it, which is a little bit of an eyesore. They definitely didn't put as much effort into these ones as they do with Jedi releases that have certain lightsabers like Anakin or Obi-Wan or something. But honestly, you probably won't notice whether it's in Grievous's hands or just staying in his cape. You also get 4 included standard blades, 2 green and 2 blue. Hot Toys went a little backwards with the saturation here in my opinion, as these are a little bit more transparent than I would have liked. For some recent Star Wars releases like Sabine for example, the green was very saturated and I really liked it, so I don't know why they went a little backwards here. Then the other odd thing is that there's only 2 swooshing blades, a green and blue one. For episode 3 accuracy, it makes a little bit of sense as he only spun 2 of the blades when approaching Obi-Wan, but as a figure and for Clone Wars accuracy, they could have just tossed in 4 swooshing blades, although honestly I don't really use these in my display, but it would have just been a nice inclusion. The included junction box for the light up effect has 4 ports on it for all 4 hilts, which is excellent if you do use these. The light up effect is bright and the standard blades look pretty good lit up even on camera, and the swooshing blades look pretty good as well. I just don't really use these, but definitely in the comments let me know if you do. Now let's look at all the figure detail and features. Grievous is a beast to handle on camera, so during this section I had to wrestle with him and stuff to just keep him on camera. Just quickly looking at that first mask again, it looks great with some inaccurate scratching over his right eye, but the armor is beautifully detailed. I love all the sculpt work and white coloring underneath all that weathering. Just look at all those scratches, black speckles, and even some brown dirt mixed in all around his armor. The diecast and non-diecast metal frame for Grievous is done in a nice weathered dark brown color. And I love that the diecast is just cold to the touch. It's a very nice feeling just knowing that it's there. Luckily, they made most of the major joints in that die cast because he just feels incredibly sturdy. You can pivot the armor behind his mask, which kind of looks like ears a little bit. The mask is held on with a magnet, and you just want to carefully slide it forward and downward so the mask wires down there don't get caught and like snap off or anything. Then just do the opposite of that to put the other mask back on. I am definitely more of a fan of the first mask than this one, but it still looks decent. The head can be tilted forward, and what's pretty awesome is you can actually see that spine in there moving upward too, so there's no gaps in there. Then the back armor here can be pivoted forward and back to allow for more clearance or close up any gaps. To get some more movement out of the head, you can just pop it upwards and then pop it back down when you're done. I am super impressed by all the detail up here, especially these little wires here that the instructions actually call out, because if one of them pops out, you could just plug it back in. For posing, the arms move way up. The elbows also bend in a way to where you can see the pieces in there moving, and it looks really cool. His chest can open up, which gets 2 thumbs up from Obi-Wan. The green translucent organ sac in there is so cool or gross depending on who you ask. You can see what maybe his lungs and heart in there and just whatever else they decide to add. And I just really love that attention to detail. So after seeing that, I can definitely see how this is the way he went out after Obi-Wan sent a couple blaster shots right to the organ sac. The legs pivot downwards to allow for more clearance, and just to show you how much movement we can get out of the legs, yeah, you can crunch them up this much. Now let's separate those arms. The instructions note to remove the shoulder armor and hands, but I kind of wanted to test how it works out if you don't take them off. And for me, it worked out. He's just going to look awesome in some forearm poses. Then you can remove the bottom forearm piece, and I guess I should specify forearm, one word, and then forearm, when I was talking about it a second ago, is 4 space arm because he's got 4 arms, but you know what I mean. Doing so lets us slide on the forearm piece that has a cut off hand, and you could also put the capped off arm piece on there as well. For me, I'll probably do a pose with maybe the cut off hands, but I definitely won't be using them in my display. Grievous is insanely tall as well at just over 16 inches, so keep that in mind if you want him posed at full mast, but honestly, you probably gotta crunch him down a little bit. But at least now we know he can stand pretty well by himself without using the base. Let's put the cape on him, but first, I just had to slot the hilts in there. The cape just connects with a press stud, and definitely put the cape around Grievous before connecting that stud, as it makes it a bit easier so you can just position it around and under his neck armor, as you can see here. Now, it is time to pose. For the first pose, I have Grievous holding the electro staff and his blaster. I'm probably going to put the staff back into the box since it's a bit bulky and I can't fit it in my tackle box, and also I don't really want to set it around in my display. This looks good, but honestly, Grievous, he has 4 arms and 4 sabers, so of course, the ideal pose will be using all of those. So for the next pose, I took the cape off him and posed him with all 4 blades. Man, Grievous has some presence. In the forearm mode though, the joints do weaken a little when positioning the arms, especially when using the swooshing blades. They just want to rotate downwards unless you can balance them out, so just keep that in mind. I absolutely love this figure. There are a lot of positives, like the main joints are die cast and incredibly sturdy, so they should last a very long time. Then the accessories are great and give you many options for display, even though for me, of course, I'll be posing them with all 4 sabers. Then the base is awesome looking with that special crotch grabber to brace him up there so he doesn't fall forward, because this is a beast of a figure. And luckily, there's not too many negatives for him, but there are a few. Most of the masks have battle damage, which is pretty inaccurate to me since I wanted to have at least one without the scratches on the right eye. Then it's not really a negative, of course, but the figure is very tall. So for me at least, I'll have to put him in more of a crouch down pose to actually fit him in my current displays. But if I were to give a negative here, it would just be that the crotch guard can't go any lower, so the figure will always be a little taller than I kind of wanted in my display. But fortunately, a little unrelated to this figure, but I'll be upgrading some of my display cases hopefully this year, just depending on when they arrive. Each shelf for that display is pretty tall, so I'll even be able to have Grievous at full mast if I really want to. So, if you're a fan of Star Wars, especially the prequels and Clone Wars like I am, and for me, Episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, General Grievous is a necessary figure for the collection. There have been some attempts to make him previously in 6 scale, but those pale in comparison to Hot Toys' attempt with the die-cast joints. I am happy to say that this is a fine addition to my collection and any other collection that has him. And also, he may be in the running for this year's Figure of the Year, especially since he's one that actually received and can look at in hand. But let's talk about Grievous down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a like and hit subscribe for much more content like this. Check out another Star Wars figure review on the channel, and as always, a special thank you to the channel members. I look forward to talking to y'all again very soon, but until next time, stay 6 scale.